and building those habits, how much more do you expect these guys to have more focus early on in the season?
I think we were focused. Just execution, and execution takes time. So you can always, be more focused, and that helps. But when you're evolving in that sense, and it's just a process. And you balance that against wanting to win every game. Sometimes the competition is the thing that helps accelerate that process. That's it.
You don't get off that easy.
My voice, so I'm good. Picked a good day.
Quin, and this is for really any coach.
You feel like you have to ask this question,
How
Bob?
do you balance?
Make me feel important.
Yeah, but it is for you. The balance between coming into a situation, trying to implement a system that best suits the personnel you have, versus trying to win tonight's game.
Yeah.
How do you handle that balance?
That's at the crux of where we are right now. It really is. You hit it on the head, and we're our focus, not at the expense of any one game, is to try to be the best team we can be over the course of the season. That's hard to keep in your conscious mind. It's really hard when you don't get the results that you want. But I think for our group, we have an idea of how we want to play, and the reasons that we want to play that way are an investment in I think where our ceiling can be, as opposed to a shorter term perspective. That's kind of consistent with we've talked a lot about the concept of development, and development can take place with individual players. We usually associate it with that, but it also takes place within a group, and whether it be schemes defensively or style of play offensively. I would have liked to shoot more than 29 threes, but we didn't, and so you continue to try to push that, because I think that's something that's not necessarily as much a philosophical thing as it is. It's both, but I think that fits our team. We have some guys that can make shots, and we've got to keep taking them. So that the habits that we have to play the way we want to play, I think that's the way that we can be the best team we can be. And unfortunately, as that's evolving, that's the natural part of improvement and growth. It isn't necessarily linear. So we'll just keep trying to stay focused on that and get better every game. And it'd be great if we could get better by winning every game. But obviously, that's not always the reality.
Coach, the Knicks are putting Grimes on whoever the opposing team's best perimeter scorer is. They put him on Tatum.
Right.
Last game, I'm assuming they'll put him on Trey. You've seen a bunch of perimeter defenders. What do you make of his abilities?
Well, there's a reason they're doing that, and I think it's consistent with how people, I know how for myself how I look at him. He's got versatility defensively because of his size and his quickness. He can guard guys that are a little bigger than him, and he also he moves his feet. He can defend and pick and roll. He can defend in the post. So he can do a lot of things defensively that allows them to do that. He's also really competitive. I mean, you can see, he takes those matchups with a lot of focus, and he's an excellent player.
And following up, just when you scout the Knicks, do you start with Julius Randle or do you start with Jalen Brunson? How do you kind of?
1A, 1B. I'm not sure which one would be 1A or which one would be 1B. You focus on both of them, and particularly because they both impact the game in different ways. So you have to know how, whether it be matchups or things that you try to do to make it hard. That's really all you can do is try to put them in positions where you're playing percentages. Understand that when you play a really good player like that, there's times when you can play really good defense and not have success. So it's both, which is what makes them good.
Coach, you saw a lot of Jalen in the Western Conference, including in the playoffs.
Yeah.
How do you feel, are you surprised about how successful you've been?
Not in the slightest,
Okay.
really. I mean, beginning when he was in college, just the command that he had over the game, his understanding. He's unique in his ability to, play with his feet on the floor and, the way that he changes speeds and his strength. That series, he was the best player on the floor. And when Luka was out, and there was times that he was the best player on the floor when Luka was in, and that's just a credit to him. So it was very obvious the level that he is capable of playing at, and it showed certainly at that point too. People that saw that.
Coach Quinn, at the beginning of every season, there's always talk about the identity and what you want the identity of your team to be. So what do you want the identity to be? And at what point in the season do you hope that your team has their identity?
I think your identity can evolve quickly and early. That doesn't mean that that always translates into how you play. I think your identity is oftentimes a choice, and that choice, like anything, we would choose to make every shot if we could. But it's really more about continuing to be committed to that even when you don't have success. And then as you have success, I think that's affirming. So you hope that that's the case, but I think it's evolving. I really do. Something, when you talk about an identity, it's more about what you do. So to say it, think it, put a sign on the wall, that's all fine and good. But and if that helps you, let's put 20 signs up. I happen to think that it's less about what you put on the wall and more what you do on the court. And as I said, it's a process and it's a grind. I think to evolve and to create an identity that runs pretty deep. And to get that, you have to be unbelievably persistent.
To understand
I had one question, I was ready to go. You guys are working my voice.
understanding that tonight's the home opener, how do you view the importance of taking advantage of winning at home over the course of the regular season?
Over the course of the season, I was gonna say, this is, a home opener is always just a really exciting, enthusiastic thing, and being in front of your fans for the first time. But as you said, I think that's consistent with playing at home over the course of the year. And we have, we feel like we've got, a great fan base. They support us when we're at home. And again, hopefully that can be something that's reflected in how you perform when you're at home, the energy and the intensity and the focus.
Thank
Yeah.
Coach, last one back.
No, that's fine.
When you talk about being patient with the execution and the chemistry
Yeah.
early in the season, what else do you look for to show there's signs of progress that outside of that it's going to take some time, to execute the way you want to?
Right.
Are there other things that you look at and say, okay, we're progressing the way that we want to?
Just consistency. I think every game you're going to have stretches where you don't execute, and the more you can do it, the better it is. And that's why you have film. That's why you have practice. And obviously, you don't have as much practice time during the course of the season. You have back-to-backs. You have all those things, but I think, as I said before, you have to be persistent in how you approach it, and be recognize and acknowledge the things that you're doing well, and do the same things that that you need to do better. And that's the essence of competition. And I don't think you get that growth without actually competing. It gets to a point where you can only do so much until you play against another team, and then certain teams bring out different things that you need to address. And so every game gives you more challenges that provide you the opportunity to get better.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.